Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Woodridge Memorial Post 1578 Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States of America Pearl Harbor Remembrance Service. Last Friday, December 7th, marked the 66th anniversary of this vicious attack on America. When the attack was over, 2,474 American personnel and civilians lay dead.
December 7th, 1941 will be a day embedded in all Americans' minds and souls, for on this day, in an unprovoked attack, the country of Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, home to the entire Pacific Fleet for the United States Navy. This one attack would urge President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to convince Congress to declare war and enter World War II. The United States of America would not tolerate such an unwarranted attack on our beloved country. Needless to say, America reigned victorious against Japan, as well as Germany, winning World War II. But the lives of those brave men and women on that unforgettable day cannot be returned to their rightful owners. But we can remember them, as well as the survivors of Pearl Harbor, even those veterans who survived Pearl Harbor and are still with us today. The Woodridge Veterans of Foreign Wars Memorial Post 1578 every single year puts on a Pearl Harbor Day Remembrance Service. On Sunday, December 9th, 2007, at the Woodridge Public Library in Woodridge, Illinois, the Woodridge VFW put on the official Pearl Harbor Day Remembrance Service for the village of Woodridge. These Pearl Harbor services, unfortunately, believe it or not, are very rare, and the Woodridge VFW puts on one of the few for the state of Illinois. Most cities, towns, or villages just let a Memorial Day service take in Pearl Harbor Day, but not Woodridge, Illinois. Woodridge prides itself on remembering Pearl Harbor Day. The Woodridge VFW Post 1578 has received local news coverage from ABC, Fox, etc. for their Pearl Harbor Day Remembrance Service. While today is definitely not a day of celebration, it is a day of remembrance, however, a day to pay tribute to all life lost that day, as well as service given that day. Thanks to the doctors and nurses that day who are able to save so many lives, and their attempts to save lives of so many that did not make it. So this Woodridge VFW Pearl Harbor Day Remembrance Service featured short presentations from Woodridge VFW Post 1578 members, as well as a presentation from our awesome mayor of Woodridge, the Honorable William F. Murphy. Also at this service, the Woodridge VFW honored all World War II veterans, not just Pearl Harbor veterans and survivors. The whole World War II scene was quite a battle, so the Woodridge VFW makes sure to honor all World War II vets. Well, today we're at the Woodridge Public Library for the Woodridge VFW's Pearl Harbor Day Remembrance Ceremony, and with me today is the Public Relations Director for the Woodridge VFW, Bob Reichert. And Bob, first of all, tell us about what is happening today, this ceremony.
Well, we've done this now in Woodridge for about, I believe, 8 years now. And it is, just like you said, it's a remembrance ceremony. We don't mean to offend anybody, but just to go through a historical account of what happened, what led up to that event, and how that one day, that one event really changed the lives of everybody since that date.
Right, and briefly tell us, I think a lot of my viewers know, about Pearl Harbor Day, but, just briefly tell us what Pearl Harbor Day, itself, that terrible day was about.
Well, the United States was unprovoked and viciously attacked by the Japanese Empire that day at Pearl Harbor. Their objective was to destroy as much of the United States Navy as they possibly could. They did a good job. But that was the day that actually started the United States into the Second World War. And then it changed the nation's economy. It changed the way we were driven and focused. There was a huge war effort for the Second World War. And of course, we came out of that war victorious. After that, I know the people of my era are called the baby boomers. I mean, it just kept snowballing and snowballing. How we think, how we act, all kind of evolved out of the actions and reactions of that one day.
And one thing that you do here is, not only pay tribute to, all the people that lost their lives in Pearl Harbor, but you also actually have a special, ceremony or honoring the World War II veterans then.
That's correct. We have several World War II veterans here in the audience, and toward the end of the service, we will have them come up and introduce themselves and briefly tell what they did in the war. Also known as, I think Tom Brokaw said it was the greatest generation. Another note with our remembrance is I've got a copy here of Friday's Tribune, December 7th, and I think it's 30-some pages long, and it mentions absolutely nothing about Pearl Harbor. I just see that as kind of remiss. Just my own opinion, of course, not being political or anything, but so we're here to actually just keep remembering that as a very distinguishable day in history.
And Bob, if people would like to learn more about the Woodridge VFW, I understand that you have a website then?
Yes, we do. For more information, you can contact us at www.woodridgevfw.org.
So on this day, in the midst of the holidays, with lights, shopping, festive parties, family and socializing, let us stop, commemorate and give thanks to those brave people that in 1941 served at the pointy end of the spear to preserve a way of life for future generations. As we go forth this day, let us forget not the price paid by many to preserve that which you and I cherish today.
And one of the persons who has been responsible for continuing this effort of commemorating Pearl Harbor on an annual basis, Marion Curtis, whose group has been organizing similar ceremonies for 14 years, says she has come to feel a deep sense of calling to honor December 7th, especially when she sees a dismaying lack of knowledge among younger generations and school children about that day. 2,390 American sailors, airmen, soldiers, and civilians were killed in just 90 minutes.
My name is Bert Haynes. I enlisted in the Navy when I was a teenager. I wasn't drafted like most people were. I didn't wait that long. I served in the Navy for almost 3 years. I was an electronic technician's mate aboard 2 different carriers, not simultaneously though. The longest I was on the White Plains. I served there for over 2 years on board that ship as an electronic technician's mate. Thank you. All right, my name is Tom Harlow. I spent 3 years in the service. 1 year of those I spent in Europe. And I don't like to talk about it too much. All I can say right now is that I was there, I seen what happened, and I'm glad that I came back in one piece. Thank you very much.